All right, wow, a lot of people say ideology. I wonder if all of you are from the US. Who said that? I don't know. Does anyone want to share their thoughts and what they're thinking in terms of why they chose the option they chose or the options they chose? I can pick on someone randomly. Yeah, David.
I chose B. I see a lot of decisions that are made in this city specifically that have a lot to do with historical experience of decision makers and parties, etc. But also my nonprofit world, I see a lot of E as well, in the financial resources and constraints.
Yeah. Now, is that a problem that it's based on experience?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be naive to expect that everyone shuts their eyes until someone put some hardcore evidence in front of them. They open it and then make their decision. Obviously, that is just one of the inputs that should go into the policymaking process. All right. So next question. Now, let's talk about producing evidence, producing some of the evidence that should go in, that we think should go into making policy. Who should make that evidence? Who should produce that evidence? All right, so who said A, externally and independent from the implementers? All right, Maureen, tell us, what were you thinking?
Well, I think that's ideally how it should happen, because I think that would be the cleanest way to get a picture of whether it's working. I think the way it really happens is B or C more frequently. And I think that if you're too closely integrated with the program implementers, you're going to be influenced by that.
Fair enough. Anyone? All right, now who said B? Would they like to share their thoughts? I can go back to David, or I'll go Henry.
Especially if you're having the opportunity to help design a program and embedding that culture of evaluation and the right metrics, the capacity of tracking the right metrics is essential. If you don't set it up in that way, you're not going to be able to evaluate rigorously.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Something to have an impact afterward. It's not closely integrated. You don't have the buy-in from the implementers of the program itself. It's not going to inform any decisions moving forward.
Yeah. So I think both of these are totally correct. I think it's very true that the more closely integrated you are, the more likely that you if you are an independent evaluator and you are closely integrated with the group, you will be influenced and you will be kind of motivated. You get to know them, you want their program to work, you're people, you have a social interaction with them, you maybe feel the need to kind of, if you find that your first run of the analysis shows that the program didn't work, you may be influenced to try it, looking at it a few different ways until you find something that works because you've been there and you feel that it actually works. So I think there is a big concern that the more closely integrated you are, the more likely bias might creep in. That said, and James can tell you this, is that even if you're totally independent, if you're a researcher or an academic, you may also want the program to work just because that helps your chances of getting published, right? And that may be conscious, it may be subconscious, and it's just the reality of incentives, right? And so if you know that you are going to get something published, if you find a giant impact, you may stop going through iterations of analysis once you find that impact. But on the flip side, yeah, I mean, it is true that if the purpose of the evaluation is for the organization itself to learn and to make decisions based on the evidence that is being evaluated on, then yeah, if someone kind of flies in at the beginning, introduces themselves, puts some probes on people, sets up some camera to collect data, and then flies in 2 years later when the thing is over, and then just says, your program didn't work, obviously the implementing organization might question how well that researcher knows what is actually going on. So I think one of the very critical pieces of integrating the evaluation team with the implementation team is A, there is some rapport that helps with the learning, but B, and probably more importantly, the evaluator is more likely to know what it is they should be evaluating, right? They should know not only the final outcomes that they're looking at, but exactly how the process works and where things might fail along the way, and that might give them little indications of what to measure along the way. So I think the big dichotomy here, and it's interesting, in this group we actually have a lot of people that are working with governments and with NGOs. In the past, we've, I'd say a significant number of our US-based participants are donors. And when they're donors, a lot of them believe that it should be external, right? And for them, for many of them, the purpose of evaluation is accountability. You know, I'm funding something, I want to know if it works, right? And I don't want to know, I don't care as much about why it's working in the process of where things might break down and what might benefit this organization in the future. I just want to know, is my money going to effective policies? And so they really care about the accountability aspect, whereas a lot of the governments, NGOs, and others care about the learning aspect. So I'd like to ask you, who is the most important audience for your evaluation?